Okay then YouTubers, it's Saturday afternoon. I've got a whole shoulder of lamb, 2.5 kilograms of meat there that I boned out. I've got some onion that I've already fried, some yogurts. I've got some bay leaves and cinnamon and cardamoms. I've made a Rogan Josh spice mix from scratch. I've blended 2 whole heads of garlic and a bit of ginger. And I've got some ghee in here that I'm going to start heating. We're going to fry off our meat. That's our first step in making an amazing Rogan Josh curry. Hopefully you'll stick with me. I'm going to do several videos and we'll see how it goes. But first stage, let's brown off some meat. There we go. Okay, so I've been melting my butter ghee. Worthwhile using ghee. Definitely much better stir. And I'm not going to crowd the pan. I want to seal the meat. You get a bit of colour on it, the Maillard effect, the browning, that sealing of it changes the whole dish. I'm just going to do it in batches. So that will do. I'm going to resist the temptation to mess with it. I'm going to brown it on one side and then turn it over. Look, so you see, that's just about there. I'm just going to carry on doing this until I've browned all the meat. I'm going to set it aside on a plate. And we'll go from there. So I've got some work ahead of me. Okay, so all my meat is browned off. I've got the bone there as well on the end. I'm going to use that. I just moved my oil to the back. So we've got our lovely fresh bay leaves, cinnamon and stuff from the garden. Some of these. So I'm just going to give them a few seconds just to loosen out some of the flavours. Simple as that, nothing fancy. I'm going to let those cloves swell up a bit. So it's a mistake to have the oil too hot. You end up just burning the spices. I can now smell something incredible going on in there. Now I've got all of the garlic and ginger paste in my ready cooked onion. I'm going to drop all that in. There we go. Put it all in. You can hear them popping now. So that will cool the whole thing down and stop them burning. And we've just got to fry off the ginger and the garlic just lightly. I've got the camera about too much. Here we go. So we're just going to fry them off gently and reduce them down. And what I tend to do, I'm just going to add just a touch of water there. We're just going to cook that off. And when we cook that off, we're just going to get a really nice flavour. I'm going to come back in a few minutes and add my spice, my dry spices. Okay, so a couple of minutes on, you see garlic ginger's been fried off a bit. Remember I pre-fried my onion, which I did for about 10 minutes as strips, and then I blitzed it to give a real sweet taste. I've got my Rogan Josh spice mix, which I made. You can split some. Why would you do that though? You can go to all this trouble. I'm just going to mix that in. I'm just going to cook that off a little bit, and we're going to add our meat back in, which could be interesting as I try and hold the camera. So I'm just going to fry it a little bit, again just to release a bit of the flavour, but not burning it. Key is not to burn your spice, otherwise it just tastes horrible. So maybe just a little bit more. Get that colour going. That's looking nice. And I'm going to drop the meat back in. It could be tricky. Here we go. Meat goes back in on the bone. Get the juices. There we are. I'm going to stir that in. That could be tricky with one hand. So I'll come back to it. But yeah, you just stir it in. And then the last stage, I'm going to take the yogurt in a minute and I'm going to incorporate that in a couple of spoons at a time. Join me in a second when I've actually got a handle on mixing this through. 2.5 kilos is a lot of meat. So we're just on the last phase now of all the incorporation. So we've got the yogurt in. I'm just going to pour in by eye. Let's go for about that much water. So probably about a pint. I'm just going to let that go into our curry. I'm going to cook it on a really low heat for it's going to be at least 2.5 hours, I think, and evaporate some of that water off, and it will just tenderise up, and that bone will just get lots of nice flavours in as well. So there you go. So that's the lamb, Rogan Josh. When you come back to me on this video, it'll be done. Okay then people, this is an hour on. I've actually added in a little bit of mizuna that I cut up from the garden, but you don't really need it, it's just a bit of greenery added in. But yeah, so that's about an hour. It's reduced down a little bit. It's going to need at least another hour, maybe more, so I'm just going to leave it for another hour just to carry on slowly bubbling away. Not worrying about the oil on top. That'll integrate in a little bit, and we might spoon a bit off near the end, but looking good after an hour. I'm going to try and spoon off a little bit of the oil, so you can just take a little bit off, you see, and we get rid of that. And that will just stop it from being too fatty. But you've just got to sort of go with it gently. Then we'll reduce down that sauce and we're good to go. So there we go people, there's my amazing Rogan Josh lamb curry with some basmati rice. Looking very impressive, I think. So it's just taking you a while, but I've got a few portions left, so I'll be enjoying them later. But there you go, Rogan Josh.